Ronnie, you guys are able to open up a big 9-game homestand, starting with a series against a division rival, and you're able to sweep a doubleheader. This one feels a lot better than the doubleheader you were swept in against Joplin. How is it to start a 9-game homestand with 2 big wins over a very good team?
It's real important, and obviously, like you said, they're in our division, so anytime you can get wins like that, I mean, it's great. And yeah, just start it, and I mean, it's not done yet. I mean, we got to build on it now and keep going through this homestand.
It seems the way the American Association schedule is set up early on, we're kind of home for 5 or 6 days. We're gone for a week, home for a little bit. How nice is it to be home for a week and a half, 2 weeks here in some very important games in the middle of the season?
It's great, especially, you know, you don't look ahead, but I mean, we know that we got that 2-week road trip, 2 or 3 week road trip coming up. So to be able to be home and just sort of relax, and I mean, things are always better at home, so it feels great to be here.
We know Laredo has a very good lineup, and they have traditionally, there's a couple of former teammates of yours on that club. Are you familiar with how to pitch to Abel and Dustin Geiger, who was traded there recently? Or is it somebody who you haven't faced much because they've been your teammates, so you got to figure out how to work to them?
I mean, you pick up on tendencies, and they're both good hitters. I mean, Abel especially, he was fun to watch. I think he hit 600 or 700 for us last year when he was here. So they're both really good hitters. But I mean, like I've said before, I'm not going to deviate from what I do. You know, I'm still going to attack, and you know, if there's a certain weakness you can exploit in the right situation, you go for that. But you know, they make you work hard, and I mean, we make each other work hard. That's why it's fun.
Doubleheaders play a couple of 7-inning games. When you take the mound in a doubleheader, you talked about the way you attack the zone, you maximize your pitches. Are you always going out there in a doubleheader, especially with the feeling that I'm going to try and throw all 7?
Yeah, and it was a strange feeling tonight because only went 5, but at the same time there was only those 2 innings to finish up for the bullpen. So it's pretty incredible how 7 innings is a whole lot different than a 9-inning game. But either way, your job doesn't change. You got to come out and go deep into a game and give your team a chance to win.
All right, we appreciate the time, Bronny. Before we let you go, your favorite part of the interview, any shout-outs you need to give?
I just want to say low for president, especially after 4th of July. He's right. He's what's right for America, and hopefully Americans will do the right thing and vote low for president.
TJ, you guys are able to sweep a doubleheader to start a big homestand, 9 games here against some good teams. How big is it to come out and play this well, pitching and hitting the ball, and outscore them 11-2?
I mean, it couldn't be any bigger. The pitching today was amazing. We gave up 1 run in 2 games. I mean, it's hard to sweep a doubleheader, but when they do that, it takes a lot of pressure off the offense, and we're starting to get things rolling.
Is John Link a guy that you have faced in the past when he was with the Wingnuts, maybe last year? And if so, were you aware of what kind of a pitcher the Wingnuts were adding when they were able to sign him earlier today?
I think we faced him last year in like the first week, so I don't really remember much about him, but off the first inning, I knew he was a competitor. I mean, he didn't want them to do anything today offensively, and he executed the entire time he was out there.
You had 6 RBI in the final game in Amarillo. You had 4 today in game 2. Is it really that easy?
No. There's a lot of people on base. The bottom of the order is doing a great job right now, and we just got to keep it rolling with the top. We started at the top in the first inning. We saw what happened with 6 runs in the first inning on Sunday, but the bottom half has been getting on base. Louis getting hot, and that just makes it a lot more fun to hit with guys on.
You guys also added a middle infielder today in Starlin Rodriguez, a guy who's had some experience at AA in the Atlantic League. Seems like a good young player. He hits from both sides. How valuable do you think he'll be as an addition to this club?
I think that just pushes us back to where we were in the beginning when we felt really comfortable with our infield. And I've played against him in the past, and I know that he's a good player, so I think it's definitely a huge boost for us right now.
This is just kind of a question off the field that I've had in recent days. Who is the best Wichita Wingnut at Mortal Kombat?
I beat David. I'm pretty sure SV's going to tell you he's the best, but I've beaten him just about 9 out of the last 12 times I've played him. He just has no answers for Molina.
Every time we talk to a player like this, we appreciate the time. Any shout-outs you need to give, anything, messages you
Absolutely.
need to send?
Low for president.
Lake, you start game 2 of a doubleheader today. The Wingnuts get the sweep. You were in AAA with the Marlins recently. When you were not with the Marlins anymore, was there any thought about where you wanted to go, or was it Wichita right away?
It was Wichita right away. You know, actually, when I got released, we got out of the manager's office and went back and got my phone, and I already had 4 messages from different teams. But, you know, I called Hoop right away and said, hey, you know, I'm available. You guys have any room? And, you know, 5 minutes later, I had a job. So, you know, this is the only place I ever really wanted to play. If I'm not in affiliated ball, then I'd rather be here. So
This is your third year with the Wingnuts, so familiar territory, you're familiar with everything around here. You walked into the clubhouse, there's only 6 or 7 guys left from when you last left the team last year when you went to the Marlins. How much of a different vibe is there? How many new teammates did you have to get used to and kind of get a feel for?
Well, I just got in yesterday, so I'm still getting used to a lot of them. But yeah, no, the clubhouse looks a lot different than it did last year. We had a ton of returners from 2013 to 2014, so it was a little easier. But just learning a lot of new people, a lot of new faces. But it was nice to have Dino behind the plate tonight, a guy that I knew, a guy that I was comfortable with from my first time out. So hope that to continue.
What were your impressions of the ball club the first time seeing them in Game 1 when you weren't necessarily going to pitch, you knew that, and then in Game 2 when they were playing defense and hitting for you?
Game 1 I was I was doing my chart in the dugout, so I was more focused on that while we were on defense. But I know that some of these guys, and I know they can swing it. I know we can score some runs. And then as far as playing defense behind me, I use my defense a lot. Pitch to contact, a lot of ground balls, so if they're making plays behind me, everything's good. I don't have to try and pick them up. They can pick me up more often. So that's all I try and do is get out there and let them get in a groove and really see what they can do behind me.
As a starting pitcher in Game 2 of a doubleheader, what is the process like for you mindset-wise? You said you were charting pitches. When do you flip it into game mode? Because there's not a ton of time between these 2 games.
Game mode comes, really starting the 7th inning. I handed my chart off in the 4th, went in the clubhouse, got something to eat, started preparing myself, doing my routine in the training room, stretch, heat, stuff like that. And then game mode starts, in the 7th inning. And then, once that last out's made, it's okay, come in, put your jersey on, lace up your spikes, and it's go time.
Last question before we let you go. You were able to come in, and you had only worked 8 innings all season. You said you were probably at around 80 pitches today if you needed to. You allowed 1 hit and shut out the Lemurs, a good offense through 5 innings. Safe to say everything felt good again as a starting pitcher.
Yeah, it was different. I prepared all off season to be a starter with the Marlins, and I got to camp and they put me in the bullpen. I think that was part of the reason why I ended up getting hurt out of spring training and not being able to throw a lot of innings with them this season. I think the biggest thing for me was coming in, throwing strikes, and letting my defense work behind me, and we put some runs up on the board and got a big W.
Doubleheaders are always tough a little bit strategy-wise and everything, making sure you have pitchers lined up. When we're able to win both of the games in impressive fashion today, allowing a combined 2 earned runs, they're sure a lot more fun, aren't they?
We always talk about pitching, setting the tone. We had 2 pretty good guys going out there tonight, in Brownie and John Link. So good to see Brownie do what he does. He went out and did his job and set the tone for that first game, and then have John Link back do what he did. It was pretty impressive. Pretty impressive night overall. We give up 2 runs on the night and came up with some big-time hits in certain situations.
It feels like at times it's been sort of an unlucky season here early on, but you have a former big leaguer leave for the Pan Am games in Scott Richmond. Right when you need a guy, John Link is released and he's able to come back and fill in. That was a big addition, and he was sharp tonight.
Yeah, the timing worked out really well. As you said, Rich left not too long ago and we needed a guy. We were going to need a starter anyways, and Link kind of fell in our lap. Obviously, didn't like seeing him getting released from AAA last week, but and hopefully he's going to get another opportunity. I tell you, if he pitches like he did tonight, that opportunity might come sooner than later again. But good to have him back. We all know what he's capable of doing, and one of the best pitchers in the league. And then you talk about, like you said, with Richie being gone, well, when he comes back here in a couple of weeks, this all lines up pretty well for us.
How different is it, and do you have to remind yourself when you're playing these 7-inning games, maybe play for a run instead of a big inning early on? I know in the 3rd inning today, when Oldie reached, you bunted him over and he ends up scoring.
Yeah, the game's shortened. The game's definitely shortened. You got to kind of strategize early on, and it was a situation. Jace being fresh back from being a week off, I thought it was a perfect situation. Let's try to get a guy to second. And the way we were pitching, I knew maybe we just needed to grind a couple out. So that's why I did that so early in the game tonight, and we got him over and ended up working out for us.
I know you were excited when you were able to trade for TJ Mittelstaedt this offseason. Of late, he's been impressive. He's leading the league in walks by a good margin, but he's got 10 RBI in the last 3 games, and it's really paying off since he's moving to the middle of the lineup.
He's capable of doing that every single night, I think, and every time he steps to the plate, he's got a chance to do something special. So it's been fun to watch. It's been a lot of fun to watch. He's had a lot of RBIs, as you stated here, the last 4 or 5 days. So a couple good series so far, and hopefully he can continue that going tomorrow night. We're going to have our hands full the next 2 nights. That's a good ball club over there, and we got to be ready to go tomorrow.